I'm Tom Jones, and welcome to another free art lesson. Hey, this is a special week for us. We're in Raleigh, North Carolina, and we're at Art of the Carolinas. This is the largest gathering of student artists, teachers, and vendors from around the world. This is a special event. It's a big one. So I hope you'll join us. Now, let me get on to my free art lesson. I want to show you how to do rocks, but that's not the important part. I want to show you how to put the darks behind the rocks to showcase the rocks. This can be very important. Rather than putting dark rocks in front of a light background, I want to show you how to put the lighter rocks using a darker background. So let me go ahead and get started. I'm going to take just a couple of brush strokes, and I'm going to put a couple of brush strokes on here. Then I'm going to dry it. I'm going to have you come back and take a look and show you how I put the darks on. So I'm going to pick up a little bit of, let's pick up a little bit of my quinacridone rose and maybe a little touch of some cobalt blue. Let's look at that. And what I want to do is I want to put a little bit of a dry brush effect across this area of the rocks just to create a little textured look. So let's get a little darker on the blue, not so red. And what we want to do is we want to come in here and put just a little darker color just for a little texture. I'm just doing a little dry brush in there. Now I'm going to switch and maybe use a little bit of yellow ochre with it. So we'll put a little yellow ochre across there. And again, the reason I'm doing this dry brush is I want a textured look to the rock. I don't want to come in and paint the rocks with just a solid color. That wouldn't be necessary. So now what I want to do is I want to take a moment, I want to dry this, I'll put the darks behind this area of rock, and then I'll put a couple of little details in the rocks and it'll just jump right out at you. So let me go ahead and dry this right now. Now it's completely dry, and it must be to put the darks behind the rocks for the simple reason I don't want the color from the rocks to bleed up into the dark area. So it must be completely dry, and it is at this point. So what I want to do now is I'm going to mix up some dark color. In this case, I'm going to mix up some Hooker Green Deep with a little bit of my Prussian blue. You could use ultramarine blue or green or whatever you want. If it was a good dark area of trees or grass back here, which I'm going to indicate, this is all I'm going to do. I'm going to put these darks back here, and I'll show you how we create this background in just a moment. Let me go ahead and mix up a little more green, and I'll put in a little bit more of this dark. See how I'm putting a dark? Now you're starting to see the edge of the rock appear. So I'm going to continue on with this dark all the way across. I might even change color a little bit. I might pick up a little bit of rose, quinacridone rose, and a little bit of my Prussian blue, just to get a little warmer color in here if I wish. So now I've got a little color change going on. Now what I'll do is I'll come back and clean my brush, pick up a little more Prussian blue, pick up a little more Hooker Green, and continue on with this area. So I've got a little variety of color going on here as well. So I'm going to come in and put the dark behind the rock area. Now I'm going to show you in just a moment how we create the look of foliage or whatever you want back here, or a forested area. But see how I have the darks back there. Now I need to do a couple of other things. I'm going to come in and put just a little bit of foreground in here. Then what I want to do is I want to dry this one more time. Then we're going to come back in, and I'm going to put a little detail in the rock, and I'll show you exactly how simple it can be just to paint these rocks and have a nice rich dark background behind it to showcase this rock area. That's the whole idea that I wanted to show you. Pick up a little more color just so you can, I'm just doing this to anchor the rocks. This is all I'm doing. This is a grass area in front, and I'll show you how we do the background in just a moment. Let me take a moment. I'm going to dry this again, and then we'll come back and I'll show you how to put the finishing touches on it. Now the painting is completely dry, and it must be at this stage. I want to show you a couple of little things to anchor the scene itself. I'm going to take a round brush as an example, and I'm going to come in, and I've got a tissue in the other hand, and I'm simply going to lift out to show you how we would put some distant trees in here. I'm going to just wet that with just water on my brush, come in with a tissue, and just lift out a little color, and it'll give the illusion that there are some area of tree or forested area behind this particular area. Watch what I do. I'll do a few more, and it'll start making sense to you. Just a few, just to anchor this. A little more with the tissue. I pat the area like so to get the excess water off that I put on there, and then I just rub it in the same direction as the tree, and I get this nice crisp looking tree. Let me make this one a little wider. Again, it's just water on my brush. I'm going to come in and I'm just going to lay in the water. Make sure that you take a dry area of tissue and pat the excess water, then come in and just rub and see how you can create the look of trees. It could be fence posts, whatever you want to do back there. Your choice. You can have a lot of fun with this. All right, that's not the lesson plan necessarily, but you can see the darks. Now what I want to do is I want to come in and separate just a couple of these rocks. I'll pick up some of the colors in my palette. I've got some ultramarine blue deep, and I've got a little bit of my burnt sienna, and we'll get up some nice rich dark color, and I'll show you how we can separate some of these rock areas. So what I'll do is I'll put a little dark behind this area of rock, so we'll show dark behind this rock, just a little tissue, just touch it. We'll come in and we'll do another couple of areas, and you can see how I'm going to separate these rocks now. Let's see, there's a rock area there, so let's bring this color all the way around. Rock area there, another area here. So we got dark rocks behind the lighter rocks. Continue on. Here's another rock here. We'll put in a little dark behind that rock, and I'm just pulling the color away like so, softening that edge just a little bit. You can see the rocks starting to separate now, where it's starting to look like rocks. So let's pick up a little more color. We'll come back in just a little darker in a couple of areas, like so. Then we'll do just a little more continuation on this. Let's say we got a lighter rock here and here, so we'll make the rock behind that just a little darker in some areas. So again, we're just picking up a little bit of color, soften the edge like so. So you can see the light rock in front of the darker rock, light rock in front of the darker rock, and so on. See how we've done that? This is a little practice thing. It'll take you a few times to doing these to figure out the whole idea. But if you do this a few times, practice this idea a few times, these rocks can be very simple for you. Another area of rock here. Let's do a couple more so you can see the rocks very clearly. Again, I put in the color and then I soften that one edge and pull the color away so that you can see. Let me get a little more dark here, and we'll just punch this up a little more in a couple of areas. And you can start to see all the formation of the rocks happening now. Just a little touch here and there. Just a little exercise to show you how simple it is. And see how interesting it is now when we take and put the lighter rocks in front of a darker area behind. It makes it much more interesting. I have a little grass area in front that sort of showcases it a little better, showcases the rocks a little better. Let me just darken this foreground just a little bit more here in the foreground, in the lower part of the scene, leaving it a little lighter next to the rock area. And then what I want to do is I'm going to show you a finished painting, and I want to show you now how this would look in a finished painting. Let me move some of these out of the way real quickly. I'm going to pull up an original painting, and you'll see the entire scene done. So let me pull this up for you. I'm going to put this up so that the camera can pick it up. Notice how I've done the lighter rocks with a darker background, and notice how the edge shows here, the grass in front of it, of course. Have a lot of fun with this. Practice this idea. Incorporate it in one of your finished paintings yourself. You'll have a lot of fun with it. Thanks for joining me. For more information, go to my website and look at tomjonesartist.com, or email me at tom@tomjonesartist.com. Let me know how you feel, what you think. I'd like to hear more from you about my painting experiences here. Thank you for joining me.